Death and tragedy, they come to us all, and they're not something that's easily taken. I was actually very moved watching President Obama's speech, where he actually teared up at the thought of the massacre that happened today in Kentucky. I am a single father. I am the parent of a elementary school child who is, working his way towards middle school. My mom lost my brother, my older brother, to a car accident. And my oldest brother has cancer, and she will eventually lose him too. Though with a lot of the treatments that he's going through now, he may still outlive her, but still. It's never easy losing a child. I never like to think about my life without my son. If he died, I would be absolutely devastated. Ever since he was born, I have loved him more than I have loved anything in this world. And I know that I would do anything to protect him. That said, this has become another issue where instead of people not politicizing this event, instead of people letting the parents mourn, they've taken it upon themselves to get on their soapboxes and turn this into one more rallying cry to take away guns once and for all. Now, I don't care for guns, but I don't hate guns. I'm a middle-of-the-road kind of person. I have a lot of prop weaponry. I do a lot of prop photography that does happen to involve guns. I repeat, I am not going to stand up here and try to give some sort of 10-minute speech about why people need to have the right to guns. I don't believe it should be a right. But do I believe it should be an opportunity within reason? Yes. Yes, I do. I know a lot of people who own guns. Do I feel unsafe around them? No. You know why? Because they're responsible with their guns. Because they, like myself, understand that, like it or loathe it, guns are just a tool. People act as if having a gun in your home will somehow by proxy amount to somebody innocent being shot. And I think that that is way, way too overboard. Now, granted, places in Europe have successfully removed almost every gun out there from private collections and everything else. In fact, Denmark does have that touted remark of, if you take away the guns, then only criminals will have guns. Guess what? That's happening in Denmark. And guess what? They have obscenely low gun deaths, related deaths. But you see, they didn't just take the gun away from the violent offender. They fixed a lot of their systems out there, including economics, including, what is it? I'm trying to think of here. Their economics, their educational system, their basic standards of living have been improved. In other words, they've been the rising tide that's lifted all boats to where only criminals have guns, and the only criminals generally tend to die through gun deaths because they're only typically shooting at each other. Now, it's not to say that innocent bystanders don't get caught in the crossfire. It can happen. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act as if there is no such thing as a responsible gun owner when it comes to things like handguns. Now, am I going to sit here and try to lobby for everybody to have semi-automatic, armor-piercing sniper rifles, machine guns, so on and so forth? No, of course not. But then we get back into this touches on so many areas, and I didn't want to have to make a video like this today. I honestly didn't. I thought we were better than this, but we're not. This has become, once again, oh, if guns were never here, this tragedy would have never happened. Oh, do tell. Because I'm reading an article right now, 22 kids slashed in knife attack at Chinese elementary. Oddly enough, same day, but in China. This isn't excusing guns or when guns are used for violence. This isn't trying to be any sort of cohesive talk about, oh, people need to own guns. People have to own guns. People must own guns. No, because I'd be as much of an irresponsible jackaninny if I were to advocate for those sorts of things. I would be no better than those who are so militantly anti-gun that they cannot see past the mechanics of what a gun is, what it actually does, and how it actually kills somebody. I have literally read journals where people cite that guns are only created to kill other people. Therefore, why do we have them around? Because they only have one purpose. They only do one thing, and they do it so well. I've always been about, as have many, the reasons I bring this Chinese thing up isn't to be nana nana boo boo in your face. It's to say, this guy had no gun. He's lucky that he didn't kill more kids than he did, but he stabbed 22 children. Elementary school age. Oh, let me guess. They don't matter because they're in China. No, only this elementary school shooting that happened here on our soil matters. Because our kids are more important than some Chinese kids sitting there with God knows how many stitches and who knows how many years worth of nightmares to have to deal with. Oh no, we've got to compare the magnitude. 22 stabbed children to, what was it, 18 or 16 dead children over here. Because their pain is more important than the pain of those parents who, some of whom, some of those kids actually did die from being stabbed. Oh, but I'm not hearing, oh, we need to ban knives. People need to figure out a way to have other kind of cutlery that's not so sharp for their food preparation because, oh, it's stupid when people say knives don't kill people, people kill people. Yes, yes they do. It is a valid point to bring up. A gun cannot do anything on its own. Especially if it has no bullet in the chamber and no cartridge in its holster for those that take cartridges, how is that gun, unless it's thrown at somebody, going to hurt somebody? That said, no, I don't believe that our laxed gun laws are to blame for this. Because this could have been China, only it could have possibly been worse. This guy, wanting to harm somebody, could have grabbed a knife and killed this person and these kids, just as this guy did in China. And it could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot more traumatic. It could have been a lot more devastating. Not that I'm saying in any way, shape, or form that today's events were not devastating. I am not here to minimize the victim's pain and say, oh, you don't matter. But if we're saying that only they matter, but China doesn't, or these China kids don't, or everybody else who gets shot, stabbed, hit in the head with a hammer, or axed to death, that they don't matter, then how are you any better than the people that you are arguing against? I did not want to make a video like this today, especially not being my first video out of the gate on this channel. But I'm not going to stand here and act as if there's anything okay with how everybody else is acting about this. I'm so sick of this. It's the gun's faults. It's the video game's faults. It's the movie's faults. It's everybody else's faults but the person who perpetrated this. And rather than wanting to understand him and why he did what he did, we want to just crucify and demonize anything that we can find to make our case that everything is wrong, everything is evil, and we're wrong. You know what Wagner from Denmark had told me that really struck me? That he and all of the people in his neighborhood trust each other. And then you ask me why the anti-male and the whole anti-person, stranger danger, pedophilia scare, what harm can it do? What harm can it do? Yeah, you think they're as worried about that in Denmark if they're not willing to carry guns and they're unarmed and they can walk through the streets without feeling like their lives are threatened? This is why one cannot completely be pro-gun, but I also make the case, though not quite strongly in this video, nor was this video meant to, that you can't be 100% anti-gun either. But this is not the time. And to have people yelling at me and saying, oh, when is it the time and place? I don't know, a week from now, a month from now. But you want to go after the wrong culprit. You want to go after the tool instead of the tool user. And that is the wrong solution to this. All I am asking is for people to stop on both sides. That includes you, NRA. And stop. Let these people process what happened. Let these people do what they need to do. But then, this isn't just about anti-gun, is mainly my point. This is about so many ills in our society. This is about people who have psychotic people in their lives and either choose to ignore it or are afraid of it, or they're part of it. And we let this happen until a school full of children pays the price for us not willing to look at the root causes of what happened here today. You with your moral high ground. How are you so much better than people who, like me, who have just said, hey, I'm not a gun lover, though I'm being accused of being one, but I feel that this isn't as black and white as you are making it. And I know Europe will still weigh in, and they do have a point. They have taken almost all the guns away. But only in certain areas do they not have gun violence anymore or have it to an acceptable level. And this needs to be addressed. We got to do more, and we can't just pick one culprit and make it into the bad guy of the week. Because eventually this is going to go away, and then nothing's going to have happened. There'll be no new gun lobbying laws. There'll be no new gun restrictions. There'll be no new anything, and we'll be back to square one. How is this progress? I ask you, how is this progress? And how is this respectful? I apologize for making this video. I do. I apologize to the victims of this crime for me making this video. But I think things need to be in perspective. I think we need to have a serious adult sit-down talk without people pointing fingers at each other and calling each other names, because that's worked so well so far, hasn't it?